Hello patron and welcome back to my life. It's Writer Wednesday where I talk about the art and business of writing and explain how I do what I do as an indie author. Today's video is in response to Kristen Stevens, who said that she likes to learn what everybody is doing, absorb it all, and make it her own. So today I wanted to give you some foundational instructions about how to learn how to write and publish. Of course, in Writer Wednesdays, I want to give you like specific answers and advice on what I do exactly in writing, but you will learn a lot more from these videos if you have a good foundation from which to begin your learning. There are many books about writing and indie publishing out there, and one of the most consistent questions I am asked by authors just starting out is which book they should read in order to learn everything about it. The answer is all of them, or at least as many as you can get your hands on. See, here's the thing about nonfiction books about writing and publishing. They are written by one or a few people who are speaking from their own experience in writing and publishing. Their life experiences won't match up with yours exactly, which means that not all of their advice will work for you, but there will be things in every book that you can learn from and take away for yourself. That's why multiple sources are vital. You should read as much as you possibly can. Your study should be a continuous thing. Just because I'm decent at writing now and I'm pretty successful as an indie author, that does not mean I have stopped studying. I still read books on writing and publishing all the time. I've read more than a dozen so far this year. I highly recommend physical books, by the way. When you find something useful in a book, you should highlight it and fold down the corner of the page so that you can easily refer to it later. You should also reread and review books you've already read, by the way. If it's been 6 months since you last read a book and you've been writing during that time, you will pick up new things that you never noticed before every time. The more times you go over a piece of information, the more you get out of it. That doesn't mean that you should read just one book over and over and over again, but you should choose the books that were most useful to you and read them multiple times over. I've probably read Save the Cat more than 24 times by now. I read it again every time I'm starting a new Underrealm book. I learn something new every time. I also suggest, as you read books and continue to add to your knowledge base, that you take individual actionable steps from each one and add them into sort of a checklist for yourself. This isn't like a paint by numbers and then a book comes out the other end sort of thing. It's just putting together a list of things to remind yourself of while you're in the process so that you check on things that you know you would otherwise forget. For example, my checklist begins with the snowflake method, but then once I'm at like step 3 or 4 in the snowflake method, I adapt what I've got in terms of an outline to the story beats listed out in the book Save the Cat. But then once I'm done with those beats, I adapt what I've got into my own scene-by-scene, line-by-line outline that I actually use when I'm writing my first draft. And that process is different for every book. Again, Save the Cat is not enough by itself for me to outline a book, and the snowflake method is not enough by itself for me to outline the book. But by taking steps from both of those sources and then putting my own creativity into it, I have discovered the process that works for me. The same is true for writing itself and editing. I've read Stephen King's On Writing and his absolute hatred of adverbs, but I've also read Techniques of the Selling Writer, which takes a much more generous view of them. And then I also read, you know, like actual books like The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, which use adverbs all the time and are 2 of the best-selling book series of all time, so I kind of take it all with a grain of salt. For any normal person with a normal job, especially in like a non-labor industry, it's very normal. In fact, it's almost expected for them to go to college for at least 4 years to learn how to do what they want to do. They not only study from multiple sources, they also speak to their professor, who usually knows what they're talking about, as well as their fellow classmates who have their own thoughts and opinions on the subject. You should take the same attitude towards your writing and publishing career. You shouldn't necessarily wait 4 years before you write. In fact, you definitely should not do that, because actual practical application while you are studying will make you learn faster. But you should study every source available to you. I'm very glad that you're here to learn from me and my Writer Wednesday videos, but do not make me your only source. I know what works for me. Only studying constantly and broadly will teach you what works for you. I'm going to include some links in the description on both YouTube and Patreon to a bunch of the writing books that I use all the time and that I have on my shelf. You should check them out. If any of them interest you, you should pick them up. Full disclosure, those are affiliate links. I'm really grateful to Kristen for posting this first question for Writer Wednesday. She asked a few other questions at the same time, so we're going to begin to address those in the next video. They're a lot shorter, so I will probably address like multiple questions in one video going forward. But I also want to hear from the rest of you. What do you want to know specifically about writing and publishing? I am here to help you, so tell me what you're struggling with. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you as always for your incredible support, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!